Welcome into Bleacher Talk. I'm Jordan Spurgeon. The big game is almost here, and one of the biggest names on that stage is from right here in Arizona. That's Brock Purdy, the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, Perry High School alum, Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. Now in his second year in the league, is leading the San Francisco 49ers to just one game away from winning a championship. In today's show, we're going to catch up with Dan Manucci, quarterback coach. He coached Brock Purdy throughout high school in his younger years, still does some work and stays in contact with him to this day. And then Jordan Ham caught up with new Arizona head coach Brent Brennan, talked about why certain players are staying and how he's kind of navigated. So Jordan Ham has more with Brent Brennan. That's all coming up on today's Bleacher Talk. But first, a little more on Brock Purdy and more from Dan Manucci. Here with Dan Manucci now, and we'll get right into it. You see the hat, see the shirt, all of that. Dan, you've worked with Brock Purdy since the 9th grade. You see him here now. He's in the big game, heading to Las Vegas with the Niners. What's the last, I guess at least the few weeks have been like, but I'm sure these first 2 years of his career have just been something remarkable for you, right?
You know what, Jordan, just been incredible. I mean, I've loved watching this young man grow, first and foremost as a young man, and second of all as a quarterback, and just the way he's handled everything with poise and confidence and humility, probably more than anything, Jordan. He's just handled it just one day at a time, team first. He's a very faithful man, gives glory to God each and every time he has a chance to have that pulpit, if you will, and that platform to share his faith. And I think more than anything, I think America is seeing what kind of individual he is, not only on the field and off the field. But I'm really proud of him, the way that they went through that 3-game skid during the season, how he just kind of kept the team together, rallied the troops, learned from his mistakes, Jordan, and just kind of went, okay, that's the National Football League, the ups and downs you go through. That's what I'm really proud of him in reference to kind of setting the tone and the team setting the tone as they headed into the playoffs this year.
There's a lot there that I'd like to touch on. So when you saw him, all the way back in 9th grade, I'm not going to necessarily ask if you ever saw this for him. I think that's hard to predict in anything, but were those traits there? Like, was he someone that was so confident in his faith, confident in his ability on the field, confident in who he was as a young man? Or is that something you're really just seeing kind of blossom more and more every day? Like,
Well,
how do you see
Jordan,
that?
a lot of people ask that. The number one thing, he always had that confidence. He was always very even keeled. He had the confidence. He worked hard. He always worked hard. And the one thing about Brock, and I talked to his dad about this, Sean Purdy. I said, look, the kid is an old soul. He's mature beyond his years. He's very focused. He's bound and determined, but in a very humble way, if you will. And every time he came home, whether it was in the off season in high school or in college when he come home from Iowa State, or the times he would come home, prior to the draft, and then after the draft with our workouts, he got better and better and better. His accuracy. He and Chubba, his brother Chubba Purdy, have always been extremely accurate. It was just a matter of getting the footwork down, getting the kind of throws he's going to have to make at the next level down, and trying to help him to understand what he's going to be going through at the pro level. So he was always receptive, always working, always wanting to get better. But the biggest thing was knowledge, wanting to know where to put the ball, what he's going to face, and then kind of gearing him up and ramping him up to play the kind of speed that he's playing with in San Francisco.
Speaking of speed too, I know a lot of the discourse last week was, wait, Brock Purdy can run. He's an athlete. I mean, he's been that since high school. It's before my time here, but I've seen the highlights. We have the highlights up right now, and that's a part of his game that I'm sure you've worked a lot on with him. But he's a sneaky athlete, and I think as part of the modern quarterback, there really aren't many quarterbacks that can't move anymore. But are you surprised that people haven't noticed that through his first 2 years in the league, and it kind of took last week even to see that?
And I've talked to a couple of people about that. He hasn't really had to show that yet, but we've seen that in high school. His elusiveness, his escapability. He's sneaky quick, I guess is the term. He can run. He can move. He can throw on the run. And for me and a lot of people that have watched him over the years, he's always had that. It's just now he's put it on the map and he's put it on a full-time display on a national view, or I should say international view.
Last thing on Brock's here, and then I want to touch on some things that you do and catch up a little bit. But we hear a lot about the it factor with certain guys, and that's thrown around a lot with him now, along with game manager. The team's having fun with that. I think it's hilarious. I'm glad Brock's kind of making light of that. How do you kind of describe or summarize that it factor? Because I feel like everyone has a different description, and he kind of fits that general mold of it, it seems like.
You know what? The it factor to me means a guy that produces at the right time. And I think we've seen Brock produce these last two playoff games in the right time. And when I say it factor, it's a person or athlete that never gets discouraged, never gets down, always finishes strong, always bounces back. And that kind of describes what Brock Purdy's all about. I mean, here they are down by 17 points in that championship game and never lost his poise. Pretty much knew he could get the job done and knows he has to get the job done. And that's the other thing. When the weight's on your shoulder and people say he's got the it factor, it also means that he can get it done at the right time. And also that team is looking to him to lead them on. So the it factor is a combination of things, but more importantly, the it factor, as far as I'm concerned in sports, is that Brock Purdy's a winner. He's a winner. He's bound and determined to win no matter how much he's down or up. He keeps his poise. He keeps his composure, doesn't get rattled even if he has a turnover, but understands what he has to get done during those moments. So hopefully, for me, that's the it factor, the way I look at it, and the way I look at Brock Purdy and his it factor that he has in staying. And next to that it factor is it / confidence, which he definitely has.
Here with Dan Manucci for a few minutes, quarterback coach over on Fox Sports 910 as well. Your current quarterbacks, I mean, you've worked with a lot of the best players that I've had the privilege of seeing over the last few years. I mean, quarterback's a position that I feel like I pay the most attention to. I wouldn't call myself any sort of expert, but it is the one thing I can look at a guy and be like, kid, this guy's been taught well. And so I guess this kind of ties into Brock, but you see his recruiting journey at the end and how things came so late. And now you're in a completely different landscape where there are guys that maybe are undersized. I know you work with one Navi Bruzon, who's a two-time Arizona Gatorade Player of the Year. They might not get that same opportunity. In Navi's case, he's a PWO at Arizona State now. How do you help guys like that navigate? Because it seems like the most important thing is an opportunity. Because if we go back to Brock, he got to go start for 4 years and get all that experience, where when he got to the NFL, he had all that there. So some of these guys that are in that, how do they kind of, manage trying to find places that they can play?
It's really hard, and I think you nailed it right there, Jordan. It's just because of the transfer portal. The pecking order for so many colleges nowadays is the transfer portal. They'll look at JUCO, and then there's the high school. And so the early recruiting period is a combination of portal and the high school athletes they recruit maybe as sophomores or juniors. But nowadays, what I tell a lot of these young men, what I do is I refer them over to Lou Perrone over at Arizona Recruits. And Lou's done a phenomenal job of placing guys that aren't going to probably they could be D1 prospects, and a lot of them are, but there's nowhere for them to go. But at the D1 level, I should say, whether it's FBS or FCS. So if those portals and those recruits and those schools are all filled up, the next line can be NAIA, Division II, Division III, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. You get a chance to go get an education. Hopefully they give you a full load scholarship if you can, but there's a chance for these young men to go play. And you're right. It's very tough. A lot of these kids coming out of high school are caught between a rock and a hard spot. So there's a JUCO level, there's an NAIA, Division II, Division III. And then I think what Lou does is a great job of pretty much navigating the land or the lay of the land for a lot of these young quarterbacks or quarterbacks coming out of high school. Even some of the JUCO quarterbacks that are coming out are having a hard time to get placed. But I just tell them, just keep working hard. I'm a JUCO guy. I went to Mesa Community College before I went to Kansas State. And then from there, I got drafted in the 5th round by the Buffalo Bills. So if you want to work hard enough and your passion is to be a quarterback at the next level, and if you have that talent to go to the National Football League or Canadian Football League or Indoor Football League, whatever it is, scouts will see that. They'll notice you and recognize that.
I've always been curious about this since I had the chance to meet you a couple years ago when we were naming you a distinguished Arizonan for the National Football Foundation. What's an average day look like for you? you're grinding with the lab. You've got your radio gig. You got a lot of things going on. What does an
Well,
average day look like for
typically,
Dan?
well, for the radio show with Rock and Manucci and Jimmy B, and thank you for mentioning Fox Sports 910 on every day from 1 to 4. It's kind of a method we have. I'll go on before I hit the sack, and I'll lay out the guests. I always track down the guests on our show, and I'll put them in there on the on the lineup. But Rock is truly our instigator. He's the owner of the show. He's the captain, if you will, and kind of lays out the lineup and sets it up. I get the guests, and then we'll kind of lay out the format. And then from there, I pretty much set up the equipment. We're always on remote, whether it's Wright Toyota or Twin Peaks, or going to Barrio Queen, or wherever other great sponsors are. And I'll either head to Tumbleweed Park by 5, or I'll go up to Anthem, either train at my guys at Boulder Creek High School or Tremonto Park, usually this time of the year. So I give myself a good hour and a half, get the quarterbacks together. Like, for example, on a Wednesday night, I'll head up to Tremonto Park. I'll work my older guys from 5:30 to 7, go over to the volleyball court, the sand pit. They got lights. And I'll work the younger guys. And then Thursday night from 5 to about 7, I'll train my guys there. Friday night, same thing. And Saturday, get it going at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then go 2 hours in the East Valley, head down to Scottsdale. I'll be there from 1:30 to about 3. And then Sunday, bright and early, at dawn 30, at 8:30, we get the young guys going. So Sunday, I'll go 8 o'clock, 9:30, 11 at Cactus Park in Scottsdale. You hanging with me there, Jordan? You got all this?
Oh, yeah. I'm keeping a mental note.
And then after that, I'll drive down to Tumbleweed Park in Chandler, and I'll do a 2 o'clock, 3:30, and a 5.
Dan Manucci, thank you so much. You guys heard him. If you want to go watch the big game, cheer on the hometown kid. I'm assuming most people in there will be at this point. Maybe some might have their money on the Chiefs or whatever, but most people are going to be rooting for Brock right there with the Niners. So go check that out as well. And Dan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
You bet. And if for our website, just go to @rock or go to rockandmanucci.com or @rockandmanucci on Twitter. But and always you can track me down at QB Manucci, Manuch. But hey, Jordan, thanks for having me. Tell the gang I said hi over there. Always a pleasure to catch up with you guys. Thank you.
Custom ordering is at Santan Ford. Colors, wheels, trims, performance packages, and more from the factory right to your driveway. And you can even track your custom Ford every step of the way.
We are Santan Ford.
Let's talk about Venezia's Pizzeria. New York-style pizza. Oh, man, this looks so good. Pizza doughs made fresh daily, wings, subs, sandwiches, pasta. They cater, they deliver. They have 5 Valley locations. Venezia's New York-style Pizzeria.
Bienvenidos.
Here in the heart of the American Southwest, you'll find 3 well-known restaurants all named Valle Luna, serving the finest Sonoran-style Mexican food known across the country and beyond. And we're open for business, so come on in. We've fired up the grill and iced down the refreshments and even added some specialties along the way.
Thanks for coming.
Hello. Greetings.
Welcome back.
No matter where you're from or how you say it, at Valle Luna, you're always welcome, and we're glad to have you back.
Discover more Play for All at Harrah's Auction Casino.
Hi, folks. Here are your drinks.
Where having fun means racking up reward credits with the Caesars Rewards loyalty program that can be redeemed for food, free play, hotel stays, and more. Not only here in the city of Maricopa, but also at more than 50 Caesars properties coast to coast. From Harrah's Las Vegas to Caesars Palace in Atlantic City. What are you waiting for? Play for All at Harrah's Auction Casino, the official sponsor of Play.
We got them at Santan Ford. From the latest all-electrics to the most rugged 4x4s and America's best-selling truck.
We are Santan Ford.
Welcome back to Bleacher Talk. Brent Brennan is the new head coach at the U of A. Jordan Ham catches up with him. There was a lot of things they touched on in about 15 or so minutes, but what really stood out to me was the growth and the maturity and the conversations that he had, keeping it real with the players that were there and saying he understands everything that has happened to them recently when Fish left. And this is something that parents and players who are currently going through the process should look at, because those are the kinds of coaches that you want to go with. I always believe fall in love with the school, feel like you're fit at the school more so than just the coaching staff, because you never know who's going to stay. But it is important to like who you're going to play for. So regardless, I just think this is really good stuff. Jordan Ham always does amazing. Here's Jordan Ham with new Arizona head coach Brent Brennan.
We've seen so much over the past couple of weeks of, will a player be entering the transfer portal? Will they be returning? For the most part, it seems like a lot of these guys want to stay in Tucson. They want to be coached by you. It has a lot to do with you, but also I think the roster and the people that are on that roster. Why do you think so many of these players are staying and wanting to play for the Wildcats?
I think it's a combination of their commitment to each other. You know, I think they feel like, you know, they've come a long way together. They've been through, you know, forged by the fire, so to speak, and, you know, experienced some great success last year. And that was an incredibly galvanizing experience for them. And then I also think the city of Tucson has a way of embracing student athletes here, embracing, you know, the campus sports community. And I think, you know, those two things coming together, you know, they're kind of the intense love for this team has for each other. And then when you combine that with how the city feels about them and how they've responded to them making the decision to stay, I think that's been, you know, a really positive when they can feel good about the decision.
Now, so many playmakers have announced that they are coming back, but I know leading the charge is Noah Fafita and Teteroa McMillan. They had that announcement at the basketball game at McHale. You know, U of A fans have said that they're going to remember that for the rest of their life. What was your first conversation like with Noah and with T-Mac?
You know, it was funny. I had a brief team meeting, and you know, really, I started with the team, you know, from trying to have some understanding of what they were going through. And I felt like I was maybe uniquely prepared for it because I had just gone through it with my own team the same day, right? So I had just met with my team 10 a.m. Tuesday morning and talked about taking the job here. And it was an emotional thing for me and for the team. And so I was really feeling that. And, you know, then 3 or 4 hours later, I'm in front of this new team. And so I kind of just talked to them about, you know, I understand it's a hard circumstance. It's a hard situation. You know, I told them, I know you don't know me and I don't know you. And, you know, trust is earned over time. And so I don't expect them to trust me right away. But, you know, if they would give me a chance, I would do everything I could to earn that trust over our time together. You know, Noah came and found me. My wife was talking to him. And he had come to talk to me. And so my wife brought him over. I sat down and talked to just he and I face to face for about, I'd say probably a half hour. And, you know, and it was really centered on us getting to know each other and really me asking him how I could best get to know some of the guys on the team. And so we just got together as a group. I asked him if he would kind of gather guys that he considered leaders and important people on the team, and if they would have a conversation with me the next day. And so that's what we did. We sat in my office for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they kind of peppered me with questions, and, I shot questions back, and it was just kind of an introduction, and it was fun, and it was friendly, and it was just a really cool moment trying to get to know each other. And then at the end of it, we decided to do it the next day again. And so that was kind of where we started, trying to get to know each other a little bit better, and hopefully give them an idea who I was and what I was all about, what kind of program I want to build. I talked so much about like the good stuff that was done here by Jed and the previous staff, right? Like that, they did a great job. They recruited a bunch of good players who are really good kids. They did an incredible job, really upgrading the facility here. And so there's so many good things. And so, and Noah and I talked about that open and honestly.
When you get a home loan from Desert Financial, you're not just getting a mortgage. You get a mortgage. You'll get more competitive rates, more local servicing of your loan. We even offer a closing guarantee on select loans. And because more is better, get up to $5,000 closing cost credit when you use a participating real estate broker. At Desert Financial, we don't just do mortgages, we do mortgages. Click, call, or come in for more information on our great rates, local servicing, and how you can qualify for a closing cost credit of up to $5,000.
Let's talk about Venezia's Pizzeria. New York style pizza. Oh man, this looks so good. Pizza doughs made fresh daily, wings, subs, sandwiches, pasta. They cater, they deliver. They have 5 Valley locations. Venezia's New York style pizzeria.
Inspiration is closer than you think. Come visit Burge Mazda during the Season of Inspiration sales event. Now's the time to go past ordinary. Drive a Mazda CX-5 with 0% financing up to 60 months on all trims. Get a Mazda CX-30 Turbo or a Mazda CX-50. Save with 1.9% financing up to 60 months. Or get a Mazda CX-90 with 2.9% financing up to 60 months. The third row SUV to fit your lifestyle. They're all here at Burge Mazda during the Season of Inspiration, Baseline and Country Club, and BurgeMazda.com.
We've got some fresh new young talent doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
Now bust a move, bust a move, bust a move.
Bienvenidos.
Here in the heart of the American Southwest, you'll find 3 well-known restaurants all named Valle Luna, serving the finest Sonoran-style Mexican food known across the country and beyond. And we're open for business, so come on in. We've fired up the grill and iced down the refreshments and even added some specialties along the way.
Thanks for coming.
Hello. Greetings.
Welcome back.
No matter where you're from or how you say it, at Valle Luna, you're always welcome, and we're glad to have you back.
Welcome back to Bleacher Talk, and as we wrap things up, it's an interesting time in high school football. You heard me talk with Dan Manucci, and we talked about how opportunities have changed for high school players. I've been talking to coaches everywhere I go over the last 6 months, just about how this has been working out in the recruiting process. And so for parents of athletes and for athletes watching, whether you're a class of 2024 looking at schools late, 2025, 2026 looking to get ahead of the game, I just wanted to say it really is about just being patient. I'm sure everyone's telling you that, and it's really difficult. And, you might see yourself as somebody or see your child as somebody who can play a high level Division I football, and the offers aren't there and the opportunities aren't there because of the way the transfer portal and JUCO transfers and all that is happening right now. And so all I can do is encourage you guys to really do your research, meet the people you need to meet, talk to people. Someone like a Dan Manucci, you can reach out to him on Twitter, especially if you're a quarterback and looking to get some work in or anything like that, because the advice is going to be something that there's no price tag on that. It's going to be, very helpful for you. And don't be afraid to look at other options. You may be a D1 talent, but go look at JUCO routes. I know it's different here in Arizona and there's opportunities for the JUCO leagues out here, but you can look at other states. There's California. There's no scholarship for junior college athletes, but a lot of really big programs. Someone I look at, Gio Sanders, who just graduated from Arizona State, played football there, went to a JUCO, walks on at Arizona State because the staff there liked him, and then ends up with a scholarship at Arizona State and gets some playing time. And now he declares for the draft. Whether or not he makes it to the league or not remains to be seen. But the opportunities happened because he bet on himself and he took that chance and went to a community college. So as someone who's a community college alum myself before going to Arizona State, it's something that I think everyone should be looking into. But enough of that. I'm not an advisor. I just wanted to kind of get that out there and talk about it, as I know the second signing day is coming up February 7th next week. So something to keep an eye on. If you don't have those opportunities and you're not signing there and you're a late class of 2024, be patient. There's a place to play if you want to play. You can get your schooling paid for. You can have the opportunity to then transfer up later on, because that's where the priority is with college coaches right now. But thanks for joining me, everybody. We'll see you again next week on Bleacher Talk.
Custom ordering is at Santan Ford. Colors, wheels, trims, performance packages, and more from the factory right to your driveway. And you can even track your custom Ford every step of the way.
We are Santan Ford.
Visit us at Harrah's Auction Casino in the city of Maricopa, where you'll find play for all and friendly people ready to welcome you like family.
Welcome back, you two.
As the official sponsor of Play and the only casino in Arizona with Caesars Rewards, see what a difference it makes to play where your fun is our top priority. Harrah's Auction Casino. Play for all.
We got them at Santan Ford. From the latest all-electrics to the most rugged 4x4s and America's best-selling truck.
We are Santan Ford.